Basically, just growing up playing whatever sport was in season in Port Matilda. Whenever I was a kid, there was always a game going on somewhere in town, and the kids congregated, and we just played the game. Whatever, if it was winter, we shoveled the snow off the basketball court at the school. Spring, we were over at the ball field. In the fall, we were on the field at the school. So that's how it started. Actually, it's a strange story, but true. I just walked in one day and asked Doug McDonald if he needed any help covering high school football, and this was in the fall of 1967. And as it turned out, he did. The guy they had was leaving, and he said, "Well, go out with him next Friday night and come back and write a story, and we'll see." So I did that. Came back. I wrote the story out longhand, and then typed it. And they said, "No, that's not going to work. You need to type it and be done with it." But I'd never written a story in my life, and Doug took a chance on me. The interaction with the people, getting to know the coaches, getting to know the athletes. I have been so lucky. I have been around for the golden years in Center County sports, not only at the high school level, Penn State as well, but boy, just thinking back at the places I've gone, things I've seen, people I've gotten to know, it's an incredible thing. And to have somebody come up after a story has appeared and say, I read that story, you made me cry. And that would be after I'd written a human interest story that really touched a lot of people. And when you can do that, then you know you've done your job. Doug took a chance on me when he had no reason in the world to do it except he was desperate. He needed help, and he gave me the chance. And I've often thought over time, where would I have been if he would have said, "Nah, I don't think that's going to work." But he didn't do that. And Doug, the consummate gentleman, couldn't have had a better boss, better role model, better person to follow in the business that I didn't know anything about the business, and I learned from Doug. Having the Center County Sports Hall of Fame was a dream of mine. When I was working at the paper, I wrote a couple of columns saying, why isn't there a Center County Sports Hall of Fame given the athletic heritage in this county? And yet we don't have a Hall of Fame here, where the counties around us do. And so to end up being selected as a member of it is beyond anything I could have ever dreamed. I mean, I could have lived out my life not being a member of it, but just being happy that it existed. That Center County Sports Hall of Fame is in existence, and hopefully it will be for a long, long time.
Ron Bracken graduated from Bald Eagle area in 1961, where he played football and baseball. The 1961 baseball team won the Central Penn League title, the first ever championship by any BEA team. Ron then attended Penn State University before Hall of Famer Doug McDonald at the Center Daily Times hired him in 1967 to assist in covering the growing and wide range of county sports. Since then, Ron has chronicled the sports scene over a nearly 50-year career in a very lively and uniquely recognizable fashion. He eventually became the CDT sports editor and featured columnist. His writing throughout his career has encompassed the gamut of sporting events: football, wrestling, baseball, gymnastics, and lots more at both the high school and collegiate levels. Year in, year out, Ron's writing enjoyed a wide and loyal readership. Ron was very well known to anyone participating in Center County sports. Ron has published 2 books of his collected works: Nittany Lions Handbook in 1996, that has Penn State football stories and statistics, and Replays in 2003, that contains his award-winning articles and favorites. Ron retired from the CDT in 2008, but continues to write vocational columns for local newspapers or journals. Ron has won 2 National Associated Press Sports Editors Awards, 2 Pennsylvania AP Managing Editors Awards, and 13 Pennsylvania Newspaper Association Awards. Ron received the Pennsylvania Wrestling Roundup Media Award for Excellence for Outstanding Coverage in Amateur Wrestling. He also garnered the Fran Fisher Award for Excellence in Sports Journalism, sponsored by the NFL and the College Hall of Fame. And he's the recipient of the George Heaslip Media Award, sponsored by the Pennsylvania State Athletic Conference. Ron has been named the District 6 Man of the Year and has been recognized by the following 5 Halls of Fame: District 6 Wrestling, District 6 Softball, BEA Wrestling, Pennsylvania Wrestling Coaches Association, and the National Wrestling Hall of Fame. Number 6 recognizes his accomplishments today. Thank you, Ron Bracken, for your great coverage of all the fantastic events in local sports, and congratulations on your induction into the Center County Sports Hall of Fame.
From an organized standpoint in athletics, I got my start with Little League Baseball. And then at the high school level, I started in the 9th grade because we didn't have junior high sports back then. But the basis for my athletic play was it really started in the backyard with my brother Glenn. Every day we would spend hours and hours and hours either playing basketball or playing catch. And we also spent a lot of time with the neighborhood kids. So that's really where I got my start, and that's what enabled me to develop skills at such a young age that carried over then into my high school and college days. Without a doubt, the greatest satisfaction is the relationships that I was able to develop with all of the folks that I played with, played against, that helped see me through and supported me through those days. Just to be able to look back and say, remember when, and then to reminisce about all those very special memories that came from my involvement in athletics. So without a doubt, it's the relationships that were developed throughout those years. Family and friends would probably come very high on that list. Without their support, this would not be possible. The Penns Valley community as a whole was very supportive during my high school days and during my college days as well. They continued to follow me. And then, of course, all of my teammates that I've ever played with and the coaches who have coached me along the way, they're all responsible for the level of success that I was able to achieve. It's very special to be able to be inducted along with Dana and Nan. I never had the opportunity to play with Dana, but I certainly followed her in high school down at Penns Valley and her career down at Duke. It's been very special to be involved with Nan, having played at Penn State with her, and then also summer softball. So we have really developed quite a relationship, and it's very special that we're able to be inducted together. Without question, it's a tremendous honor to be included with such a fine group of county people that have achieved so much. It's just very humbling to know that I'm recognized as worthy of the honor, and to know that this is just the second class is very special as well. So it means an honor. It's tremendously humbling.
Carol got her start in athletics playing Little League as a youth. She graduated from Penns Valley High School in 1981, boasting an incredible athletic career. Carol was a 4-year letter winner and a 4-year first-team All-League in both basketball and softball. She had an impressive .617 career batting average in softball, and the team was 43-14 in her years. Of her 88 career hits, 59 went for extra bases. Talk about punch at the plate. In basketball, she scored 1,371 career points, averaging 18.7 points per game, while the team rolled to a record of 67-11. In track, she was 7th in the state in javelin in her senior year. Her record toss in javelin stood as a school record for 26 years. Carol was named Penns Valley's Outstanding Female Athlete and recognized for outstanding contribution to basketball at the end of her senior year. She was recruited in softball by Penn State, and her career as a Lady Lion was nearly a carbon copy of her accomplishments in high school. Carol was a 4-year letter winner and starting second baseman in softball. She was second-team All-American and an academic All-American in her senior year, 1985. Her Lady Lion softballers won 2 Atlantic 10 championships and made it to 2 NCAA tournaments. In Lady Lion basketball, she started as a walk-on, then became a 3-year letter winner and team co-captain in 1983-84. A foot injury sidelined her in 1985. Carol's Lady Lion Cagers won 3 consecutive Atlantic 10 championships, made 4 NCAA tournaments, and were ranked in the top 10 nationally in 1982, 83, and 85. In 1983, Carol Fultz became the only Penn State athlete to make it to the NCAA round of 16 in 2 sports. After college, Carol was hired as a teacher and coach at her alma mater. Her career coaching record at Penns Valley High School for softball was 122-75 and 12-12 in basketball. Carol played in the Center County Women's Softball League for 25 years. Her team won 4 state championships with teammate and co-inductee today, Nan Sichler-Morschbacher. She was inducted into the District 6 Softball Hall of Fame in 2000. Thank you for your many years demonstrating sports excellence, Carol Fultz, and welcome to the Center County Sports Hall of Fame.
Well, that's a pretty easy one, actually. My dad. I don't remember the very first time I picked up a basketball, or dribbled one, but I definitely remember in the second or maybe third grade tagging along with my dad to biddy basketball practice. And then in the fourth grade, the hoop went up in the driveway, and I was finally old enough, it felt like forever, but finally old enough to play on my own biddy basketball team in the fourth grade. And I was pretty athletic as a kid and played multiple sports all through high school. But from the very beginning, basketball was special, and I think I owe a lot of that to my dad. So many things. I think probably the most satisfying, though, is really earning a full scholarship and a free education to Duke. Really just priceless. And I think as a kid, I just dreamt about playing Division I college basketball, and I was fortunate that dream came true. And even though that was really the most satisfying, though, I feel incredibly fortunate that I had so many rewarding experiences, all because of basketball. And then I think perhaps the most rewarding, as opposed to satisfying, potentially, is basketball is really what got me involved in Special Olympics. And I still today coach both basketball and golf, and just absolutely love it. So yeah, lots to be grateful for. I think there's so many. The expression, it takes a village comes to mind, although I think in my case, I would say it took a valley. So I think, of course, I want to give a big thanks to my family, my parents, Joe and Pat, for all of their unconditional love and support, sending me to camp, driving me to Philadelphia in the summers to practice with my AAU team. I'd also like to thank my sister and teammate, Jen, and my little brother, Matt. Probably two of my biggest fans growing up, which really means more to me than I could really express. They had to put up with all the attention I got as a kid, and I think kept me humble. They tried to keep me humble, and I hope I was humble. But I just love my family to death. And I'd also really like to thank Coach Dave Edwards and his wife, Dolores. I think next to my dad, Mr. Edwards really was the most influential figure in my career. I think I'll forever be grateful for all his advice and wisdom. Sparky, you're the best. And then really thank, all my coaches, all my awesome teammates, all the Penns Valley fans that came out to all of our games to support the team. I'm incredibly honored. And I think what's making it even more meaningful is being one of the first women to be inducted. And also, I have to say, being inducted along with Carol Foltz. I mean, she was a role model and somebody I really looked up to as a kid. So it's really pretty special to be in a class, to be in a class along with her. And then, I feel like I went away to go to school, and I settled in North Carolina afterwards. But I will always be so incredibly proud of calling Penns Valley home. It's an amazing place, and I think to be remembered and honored in this way is truly special.
Dana grew up in Millheim, graduating from Penns Valley High School in 1989. While there, she earned 12 varsity letters and won the coveted James Snyder Award in her senior year. She was the girls' basketball Mountain League most valuable player in each of her 4 years on the Lady Rams team. She was selected Associated Press All-State in her last 3 years at Penns Valley. In her 4 years on the team, the Lady Rams sported a 79-23 record. Dana was named to the USA Today Top High School Female Players in Pennsylvania in both her junior and senior seasons. USA Today also named her to the top 30 high school female players in the U.S. in her senior year. She was named to 2 other All-American teams after her senior year. Dana played on the Keystone State Games team that won the state championship in 1988. Additionally, she played on the Philadelphia Belles girls AAU team for 3 seasons while in high school and a girls all-star team that toured in France in 1990. It is no wonder that Penns Valley retired her number 33 jersey when she graduated. 29 years later, Dana McDonald still holds the Center County High School basketball career scoring record for either boys and girls with 2,269 career points. She was heavily recruited by Penn State, UConn, Duke, Rutgers, Pitt, Ohio State, Georgetown, North Carolina, Princeton, Harvard, and many other Division I schools. She accepted a full scholarship to Duke University, where she was a 4-year letter winner. She was team captain and was named the team MVP in 1993. After graduating from Duke, Dana made her home in North Carolina. She works as an associate director in human resources at the Duke Clinical Research Institute in Durham, North Carolina. Dana has given back to the sport with many years of coaching in North Carolina. She was an assistant coach at Jordan High School for 3 seasons, head coach at the Raleigh AAU girls team for 3 years, and the North Carolina Special Olympics head coach since 2002. Further, she's currently involved with the United Way Urban Ministries of Durham and Habitat for Humanity. Thank you for thrilling the fans at Penns Valley and then in Duke. And thank you for your work giving back to the community in North Carolina. Now, please come and accept your induction into the Center County Sports Hall of Fame.
Well, from a child, I took a tennis ball I can remember throwing against the garage and catching. This is how I got involved, started in the sports of baseball, we might say. Well, in the summertime, in the mornings, we used to go down to the ball field. My buddies there from Pleasant Gap, it was neighbors. We always played in the mornings baseball. Well, in 8th grade, though, I got involved, was introduced to wrestling. And from that time on, I guess, wrestling has kind of took over. But I had one thing, I always thought I could like to play football. So when I got involved in JV football, well, the coach for the JV football in Bellefonte was the wrestling coach. He did the wrestling and did JV football. So I played JV football, but the wrestling coach, Mr. Smith, did not want me playing JV football or playing football because I was very small, only weighed about 90 pounds. But he put me in one time to run a punt back. So I caught the punt, started down the field, and the two boys hit me. The ball flew straight up in the air, and that was, he said, I left the game, come out. He said, I told you, he said, you didn't belong in football, so now. So from that time on, that was the end of my football career. There's been a number, but one of the main thing was, I guess, satisfaction is when I won a state wrestling title. Well, in 1953, Dave Adams and I both won a state wrestling title in Bellefonte. Now, we at Bellefonte has only ever had 2 champs in the same year, and that still stands as a record in Bellefonte. Well, first of all, I'd like to thank Dave Adams for nominating me. Second, I'd like to thank the board of directors of the Center County Sports Hall of Fame for putting me on the ballot. And third, I'd like to thank the people that voted for me to make this a reality. Well, it's an honor for me to be inducted into the Center County Sports Hall of Fame. To be among so many outstanding individuals that have given their time and all their knowledge for the sports in Center County. And I'd like to, it's been an honor to be involved in just being around these people.
Ken started wrestling in 8th grade at Bellefonte High School. The next year, he made the varsity, then rolled to a career record of 54-6-1. His former teammates have described Foxy as a friend and an unselfish teammate who displayed more interest in the team success and working with his teammates rather than his own personal performance. But Ken's personal performance at Bellefonte was extraordinary. He was PIAA runner-up as a freshman in 1950, then a PIAA champion in 1953. Teammate Dave Adams, himself a 2-time state champ and NCAA runner-up at Penn State and a collegiate coach for nearly 2 decades, has said repeatedly that he regrets that today's generation never had the opportunity to see Foxy on the mat, that he possibly was the toughest wrestler he ever saw in his life. It is easy to agree with Coach Adams' assessment, since during his career, Foxy defeated the legendary Johnny Johnston of Clearfield at the 1953 district tournament. Johnston then went on to be an NCAA champ at Penn State. After high school, Foxy attended Stevens Trade School, where he compiled a 32-0-1 career record in 3 years. That tie was with the University of Pittsburgh's three-time NCAA champion and Distinguished Hall of Fame member Ed Peary. In 1955, Foxy won the National Prep School Championship and the MAC Championship, where he was named the Outstanding Wrestler. Foxy was never pinned or even gave up any back points in his entire wrestling career. An amazing achievement. Foxy had a 20-year officiating career and was a very respected referee, officiating many years in district, regional, and state championship tournaments. He is a member of both the Bellefonte High School Wrestling and District 6 Wrestling Halls of Fame. Earlier this year, Foxy was inducted into the Pennsylvania Wrestling Coaches Hall of Fame and into the National Wrestling Hall of Fame. 2018 has been a busy year for Foxy, with his third Hall of Fame induction coming today. Foxy was a teacher at Center County Votech School nearly his entire career, teaching the building trades with a specialty in brick and block laying. Foxy lives in Woodward with his wife, Rose Marie, but they winter in Florida. Congratulations, Ken Foxy Moyer, and thank you for the excitement you provided as a competitor and your service as an official and coach. And welcome into the Center County Sports Hall of Fame.
When I was old enough to start Little League, I walked or rode a bicycle to Snowshoe, and Doc Edders was the Little League baseball coach, and he was instrumental in me getting started. I also lived very close to the Clarence baseball field and would spend a lot of time going down to the practices for the adult baseball team when I was a youngster, and chased fly balls and ground balls, and they would eventually let me take a few swings at the end of the evening. And the Chambers boys were very, very instrumental in getting me interested in baseball and other sports. When I was named the captain of the BEA football team my senior year, when I was named captain of the Clarion University football team my senior year, and I believe that people felt, coaches and my fellow players, that I had some leadership qualities, and that was very satisfying to me. At Clarion, when I switched from basketball to wrestling and was able to eventually place second in the PSAC tournament at 191 pounds, that was satisfying to me. But when we beat State College in 1979 in baseball by a 6-3 score, that was their only loss of the year. They ended up winning a AAA state title, and that was rewarding to me also. In 1982, as a coach, Baldigo area, we won the first District 6 baseball tournament, and that was satisfying to me. One of the very satisfying things was the fact that I was able to coach both of our sons and eventually a son-in-law in both baseball and football. I'd like to thank the Hall of Fame committee for thinking enough of me to put me on the ballot, and obviously the people that voted for me. Second, I'd like to thank all the coaches that helped me over the years as to achieve what I did as a player. I would like to thank all the teammates over all these years that I participated who encouraged me to succeed as a player and as a person. Third, all the players that I coached in 37 years, and Obviously, that's a very large number of people. Finally, I'd like to thank my wife of 52 years because she has been my main supporter and the driving force behind whatever I have been able to achieve. When I think about the thousands and thousands of people that have participated in athletics in Center County, I'm extremely, extremely humbled to become a member of this elite group of people. It's certainly an honor to become a member with people that I have competed against, people that I have coached against, people that I've respected and admired over the years. Finally, I am grateful for the talents and the abilities God has given me to be able to earn this respect in the athletic community in Center County.
Alex graduated from Baldy Galleria in 1960, where he earned 10 letters, 4 in football, 4 in baseball, and 2 in basketball. He was named Central County's football first team and honorable mention on both AP and UPI All-State teams. Alex enrolled at Clarion University and graduated in 1964 after only 3.5 years. He earned 9 letters there, 3 in football, 4 in baseball, and 2 in wrestling, which was a new sport for him. He played basketball as a freshman, then switched to wrestling. In football, Alex was a two-way player, on the line or at linebacker. He was team captain and the team MVP in his senior year. He was a member of the Golden Eagle wrestling team for 3 seasons and was a 4-year starter in baseball as a catcher, first baseman, the team captain, and team MVP as a senior. Among his college awards were second-team PSAC football as a junior, first team as a senior, along with being tagged a preseason All-American. In baseball, Alex earned the highest batting average in the PSAC West in his junior year, and he placed second in wrestling in the PSAC tournament at 191 pounds. Alex began teaching and coaching at Brockway area in 1964, where he was the head wrestling coach and an assistant football coach. In 1967, he began teaching and coaching at BEA until his retirement in 2001. In addition to teaching for 34 years, he was an assistant football coach from 1967 through 1969 and again from 1973 through 1988. Head football coach 1970-71, assistant wrestling coach 1967 through 1970, JV baseball coach from 1967 through 1978, and head baseball coach from 1979 through 2001. Alex led the baseball team to the school's first District 6 title in 1982 and third place in AAA states. His team also earned district baseball titles in 1986 and 1996, as well as AAA state tournament appearances in 1986, 1988, and 1996. Alex is a member of both the Bald Eagle Area Football and Clarion University Sports Halls of Fame. He has continued to stay involved in sports as a scorer for 31 years at the District 6 Wrestling Tournament and 21 years at Northwest Regional Tournament. Congratulations, Alex Murniak, and thank you for participation in nearly any sport that was available. Welcome now into the Center County Sports Hall of Fame.
I got my beginning in basketball when I was in the 5th grade with the advent of Biddy Basketball League, which I believe was formed through the State College Rec Department. My dad was a coach, and I probably learned more fundamentals from my dad than anybody else that I played for because my dad was a pretty good basketball player at Penn State and was a really good coach. The one advantage that we had growing up in State College, and everybody knows State College is not necessarily a haven for basketball players, but we had Rec Hall at our fingertips. And we would go to Rec Hall and get kicked out of the main gym, go to the auxiliary gym, get kicked out of there, we went back and forth, but as we got older, they wouldn't kick us out. And it was always a great place to find better competition. My parents felt a little bit sorry for me, I think, when I was younger, because when I couldn't get in rec hall, I'd go up to the university and shovel a full court by myself with gloves on because it was cold. And they eventually built a basketball court in our backyard. What I didn't realize at the time was the fact that it was not only a basketball court, but it was a boxing arena. My brother mentioned last year during his remarks that we got after it pretty good in everything we did, baseball, football, basketball, you name it. But he mentioned we got in a fight 9 out of 10 times after we played basketball. It was 10 out of 10 times. I'm not one to talk about individual accomplishments, but I do feel that when I attended the University of Virginia and played basketball there, we won for the first time in the history of the sport at that point. And I feel really good the fact that my teammates and I were able to prove to people that University of Virginia could compete in the ACC. The other part of my basketball career that means a great deal to me was being named on the all-anniversary 50th ACC basketball team. First and foremost, I'm not sure how the process works, but I want to thank all the people involved with the Center County Sports Hall of Fame. I know how difficult it is in that process. It's just amazing what has been accomplished. I've got to take time to thank my family, my mom and dad, who provided us with basketballs, Converse shoes, place to play, and all that kind of good stuff. Coaches, teammates. But I tell you what, I wouldn't be sitting here without my brother Bruce. He taught me how to be competitive. And I think that is a lot of people and a lot of kids that have God-given talent, but you got to have that competitive nature to really push yourself and move on. And my brother provided that for me at the time where I didn't really realize it. My only saving grace was I was faster than he was. He could never catch me. I was inducted into the Virginia Sports Hall of Fame in 2001, I believe. And having played basketball both collegiately and professionally in Virginia, that was very meaningful. Going into the Center County Sports Hall of Fame is so much more special because I grew up in State College. I participated in sports here. And it's hard to describe. But it's even more special going into a group that includes my brother.
Barry graduated from State College in 1969, where he was involved in sports year-round, but truly started in basketball. In his senior year, he was named first-team All-State by UPI and honorable mention by AP. He accepted a basketball scholarship to the University of Virginia. From 1970 through 73, he established himself as one of the greatest all-purpose guards in UVA and Atlantic Coast Conference history. In his sophomore season, he was second-team All-ACC and first-team ACC tournament. In his junior year, he was first-team All-ACC and first-team in the ACC tournament. That year, Barry was also the ACC Player of the Year and ACC Athlete of the Year. He was voted third for National Player of the Year, and he was named to the All-American squad. In his senior year, he was second-team All-ACC, second-team ACC tournament, and again, an All-American. UVA retired his number 40, at the end of his senior season. Barry was a first-round draft pick by the Virginia Squires of the American Basketball Association. He signed with the Squires and played 3 seasons in the ABA, 2 with the Squires and 1 with the St. Louis Spirit, before ending his professional playing days. His best year as a pro came during the 1975 season with the Virginia Squires, when he appeared in 78 games and scored 607 points. Barry returned to his alma mater in 1977 for a year to serve as a graduate assistant coach, then moved to the College of William and Mary as an assistant coach for 5 years for his brother Bruce. Barry then became the head coach at William and Mary and stayed for 3 seasons, 1984 through 87. After a year off, he was named as the head coach at St. Michael's College. He stayed there for a year before serving 2 seasons as an assistant coach at the U.S. Naval Academy. In 1996, Barry was named to the historic All-ACC Anniversary Team. He was elected into the Virginia Sports Hall of Fame in 2001. Barry currently serves as the Assistant Athletic Director for Development at UVA. Congratulations, Barry Parkhill, for your stellar performances on the hardwood. Your induction makes you half of the first ever brother team to be recognized by the Hall. Please come forward and welcome to the Center County Sports Hall of Fame.
In 1955 or 56, 57 school year was the first year of his existence for the Bald Eagle junior senior high school. I went out for basketball, and needless to say, it didn't take very long until I realized that basketball wasn't my sport, and I did not make the junior high team. I had a couple of friends that went out for wrestling. John Jory, one of them, he talked to me and encouraged me to go out for wrestling. So my 10th grade year, I went out for wrestling. I took John's advice, and right away I found that I liked the competitiveness and the discipline that I got from wrestling. Wrestling is a really tough sport, and some of the practices were really physically grueling, and they taught me that I could probably endure a lot more than I ever knew was possible. We got an elementary program started in the 70s, and my brother Lloyd was the elementary coach, and I mean, we had a great relationship. He taught basically what we taught on the high school level. When those kids moved up to the varsity level, they were ready to step in there, which was a big help. Also, I had a loving, supporting wife who really supported me and did anything she could to help the wrestling. She loved the sport, and she was a big help. She even went scouting with me several times when all my assistant coaches were tied up. First of all, I'd like to thank my good friend and long time, in fact 22 years, he was one of my assistant wrestling coaches, Don Burris, for nominating me to the ballot. I would also like to thank and congratulate the board of directors, thank them for having me on the ballot, and congratulate them for the super job that they've done with getting this organization on a very sound foundation in the 3 years that it's been in existence. So thank you, and congratulations to the board. Well, it's certainly a very humbling experience. It's an experience that I'm sure I'll remember the rest of my life. There's so many outstanding athletes from Center County, so it is a big humbling experience. This year's class is especially pleasing because there's 3 of us from Bald Eagle being inducted. One, my classmate Alex Murniak, been a good friend forever. Even we were on the faculty for 30-some years at Bald Eagle. Then Ron Bracken, the sports writer for the outstanding sports writer for the Center Daily Times, and a really great friend. I always kidded Ron about there's a lot of kids in Center County wrestling teams that are out for wrestling because of the articles that you wrote in the Center Daily Times. But it's really an honor to go in there with those 2 guys, and of course with the rest of the inductees. It's an outstanding class, and I'm really tickled and proud to be part of it.
Dick started wrestling in 10th grade at Bald Eagle area, then graduated in 1960 as the team captain. He enrolled at Stevens Trade School and wrestled for legendary coach John Johnston. Dick was team captain for 2 years, graduating in 1963. He then went to powerhouse Lock Haven State College and wrestled for Hall of Fame coaches Hub Jack and Gray Simons. In his senior year of 1967, he placed third in the NAIAs, known then as the Small College Nationals. Dick was hired right out of college by Fabius Pompey School District near Syracuse to teach and to start a wrestling program. In 3 years, he built a respectable program, garnering 13 wins before moving to BEA as the head coach in 1970-71. His first district championship came in 1972, and 13 more would follow over his 32 years at BEA. His teams won 6 regional titles and both PIAA team and individual championships in 1999. In the state team finals, Bald Eagle won by 53-0, a shutout win that may never be repeated. Dick coached 3 other teams ranked number 1 in Pennsylvania before the PIAA initiated the state team tournament. Several of his teams were ranked in the top 5 nationally, but his 1999 team was named number 1 in the USA by all 3 major polls. That team also won the prestigious Beast of the East tournament in Newark, Delaware, considered the toughest tournament in the USA. In the decade of the 90s, many regarded Bald Eagle area as the best program in the country when it won all 10 district, 6 regional, 2 state, and the national championship in 1999. The team's record over those 10 years, 172-13-1. His 1997 team went 17-0 with 6 shutouts and an average score of 54-6. Dick coached 5 undefeated seasons, 30 conference championships, and earned 14 District 6 Coach of the Year awards. He was twice named State Coach of the Year and was the 1999 National Coach of the Year. Dick coached 77 District 6 champs. 11 were named Most Outstanding Wrestler, 44 regional champs, 101 state qualifiers, 44 medalists, 15 finalists, and 5 state champions. He had a 386, 97, and 9 career record at BEA, but adding the 3 seasons at New York, he has 399 career coaching wins. Dick is a member of the BEA Wrestling, District 6 Wrestling, Lock Haven Wrestling, the PWCA, and the National Wrestling Halls of Fame. Congratulations, Dick Rhodes, for a career of excellence and for providing so many memorable performances on the mat. Welcome to the Center County Sports Hall of Fame.
Summers were spent outside, at various ball fields. Like I said, playing at our local fields or playing in our own backyard. We did whatever we could to play. Summers consisted of Little League and Teen League, and after those games we would come home and we'd play more baseball. It's what we did. Ground balls, pepper. I'll never forget my dad hitting us sky-high fly balls. And he enjoyed every minute of it, and he never was too busy not to play with us. Then in 1974, I was fortunate enough to, as an 8-year-old, that's when Little League allowed girls to play Little League baseball. So I played Little League until I was 12 years old, and then from Little League I moved on to Teener League. Played there as a 13 through a 15-year-old. Had lots of great memories. The boys never really gave me a hard time because I think I could play on their level, so they were okay with that. And then from Penn State in the summers, and then for probably the next 25 years, played slow pitch softball at Hess Field and have created memories beyond the pale. Just been a tremendous blessing for me that I was able to do what I do through softball. I would definitely have to say, the friendships I've made through my association with softball has been one of the most satisfying things that has happened to me. I still have friends to this day that I get together because of softball. I was fortunate I met my husband through softball. I was fortunate that my parents were a major part of my softball career. And I'm also very grateful that I have no regrets for the way I played the game. I always played hard, we practiced hard. I was a reliable teammate, I was a good teammate. Those are all things that really were brought to us because of my father. He was just, an unbelievable role model, and for him I am forever grateful. Well, there's lots of folks I need to thank for my being accepted into the Hall of Fame. Teammates, number one. If I didn't have teammates, I wouldn't be sitting here today. If I didn't have someone to throw that ball to second base to, or a catcher to catch a ball at home, I'd be nothing. And my coaches through the years have been tremendous for me. From my Little League and Tinner League coaches for giving me the opportunity when girls were kind of just breaking into the baseball arena. I'm fortunate they gave me the opportunity to do that. My parents were definitely the best role models that a kid could have. My mom was the quarterback of our family, so to speak. She was the one who made sure we were fed and had our uniforms washed, and she got us to practice on time. But my dad was the one who really instilled the way I played the game, and I carry those traits over to the way I live today. A hard worker, always giving 110%, always hustled. I'll never forget when my first son was born. I told my parents that if I'm half the parents that you guys were to me, I would have succeeded. I'm honored that I've been selected as the second, to be part of the second class of the Center County Sports Hall of Fame. I'm not much for individual recognition, and people will attest to that, but because I'm always for the team, it's about the team. But I'm very humbled and grateful that the voting members of the Center County Sports Hall of Fame view my efforts as worthy to be inducted into the Hall of Fame. And Center County's been wonderful to me. It's been a wonderful place to grow and raise a family, and I have been truly blessed.
Nan got her start playing ball in the backyard under the sharp eye of a father skilled in baseball fundamentals and the nurturing perspective to make sure Nan was enjoying herself while learning and developing her skills. Older brother CJ was a very talented all-star player as well, so her schooling was as good as it gets. In Little League, Nan was the only girl on the all-star squad, often pitching or being a top hitter. The same was true for Tinner League. Her team finished second in the state when she was 15. Nan was a member of 2 PIAA softball state runner-up teams at State College High in her junior and senior years, 1983 and 1984. She was called the best shortstop in the Northeast. Her high school pitching record was 29-2. She was an offensive machine for the Little Lady Lions with an outstanding .663 batting average her senior year. She had 200 hits in her 4-year career. Her career batting average, .593. She hit 70 home runs and had 39 other hits that went for extra bases. Nan became the first scholarship softball player in Penn State history when she agreed to play for the Lady Lions. She was a 4-year starting shortstop and team captain in her last 3 seasons. Her teams won 2 Atlantic 10 team championships. Nan was a 3-time Atlantic 10 All-Star and the league MVP in her senior year of 1988. She was a 4-time All-Northeast All-Star for the National Fast Pitch Coaches Association. Nan still holds the Lady Lion career highest batting average record, .369, 30 years after she graduated. Nan was described by her college coach as the beginning of the Penn State program as far as achievements. Over her entire career, Little League through college, Nan only struck out 12 times in 621 at-bats. Nan played in the Center County Women's Softball League 24 years on a team that won 4 state titles, along with her teammate and co-inductee today, Carol Fultz. Nan also coached Little League for 6 years. In 2000, she was inducted into the District 6 Softball Hall of Fame. Congratulations, Nan Sischler-Morschbacher, for a phenomenal career on the various diamonds on which you starred, and for being a diamond on every team on which you played. Welcome to the Center County Sports Hall of Fame.
Little League Baseball was the big thing at that age, and that was the first thing that I did. And then I got into the junior high sports at the State College High School, and at that time I lived out of town, and people came up to me and said, "Well, you guys from out of town never stick it out anyway, so you're not going to make it." And they had a little determination to me, and I did make it, and feel good about what I did in my athletic career. The kids that I've coached, what they've done with their lives, have been so many have been very, very successful, and a lot of them have made a lot of money, a lot more than I had, and it just pleases me because they came from so many good families, and just to see what has happened to them throughout their careers, and some have gone on to be doctors and entrepreneurs, but very, very successful people and very good people that I'm really proud of all of them. Well, first my family, and then all the people that have helped me through my career. Number one would be Bill Leonard, who was my high school football coach. Number 2 and 3 would probably be Sever Toretti, who was my offensive coach at Penn State, Dan Radakovich, who was my defensive coach at Penn State. And then when I moved on to coaching, Bill Luther and Dick Bell, coaches at Bellefonte, who really taught me a lot about coaching, because I was well schooled fundamentally, but I was not an X and O expert, and I did not realize what all the other things had to be done by a high school coach. And those two, they were great people. And while I was at Bellefonte, Big John Miller was the athletic director, and I'm sure he'll be in here someday. What a fabulous role model for a young teacher. And my high school baseball coach, John Hanna, who really helped me with my career and my education and everything. Then I worked for John later in the business department, and then all of the coaches at State High that were there while I was there. Of course, Joe Paterno for giving me a chance to coach at that level, and all the assistant coaches that I worked with at Penn State. Some great, very great people that were up there. That would be the best things, I think, that I can remember from all of that. Well, I think coming in the second year of the Hall of Fame is a great honor, and coming in with the people that are coming in now and following Bill Luther in football certainly makes it a very big thing, because I owe an awful lot to Bill, and he helped me so much. And Nan Sichler, who's coming in now, played on my son's Little League baseball team. She was the best player on the team, back in those days. And I also remember Cal Emery. He was a little bit older than I was, but I was just amazed at a young age that he could hit the ball as far as he could hit it.
Jim graduated from State College in 1959, where he was recognized as second-team All-State in football. Jim then enrolled at Penn State University, where he was coached by the legendary Rip Engle. Jim lettered 2 years as the starting center for the Nittany Lions. In 1962, the Nittany Lions were 9-2 in Rip Engle's best year at Penn State. The Lions had only one regular season loss to Army by a score of 9-6. Penn State faltered in the Gator Bowl, losing to Florida 17-7, and finished the season ranked 9th in the country. In Jim's senior year, 1963, the Lions went 7-3 and were ranked 16th in the country. Jim started his coaching career in 1964 as an assistant football coach at Belmont High School under Hall of Fame coach Bill Luther. Jim served on Luther's staff for 5 years, including Belmont's 9-0 season in 1968. In 1969, Jim landed the head coaching job at his high school alma mater, State College, and proceeded to go 65-13 over the next 8 seasons. During that span, his teams enjoyed a 36-game winning streak, beginning the final game of the 1970 season and continuing into the middle of the 1974 campaign. Jim's Little Lions won 5 consecutive Western Conference titles and the mythical 1973 state championship. With no playoff system in 1973, the number 1 team in the state was determined by the major press services. That same year, Jim was selected as State Coach of the Year. In 1974, he was named as the head coach for the Pennsylvania Big 33 team. In 1977, Jim joined the Penn State University staff as defensive coach. He remained in that capacity for the next 16 years and was a key person for Penn State's stifling defense in its national championship years of 1982 and 1986. Jim then served as an administrative assistant for Penn State football for the next 12 years. He wrapped up his coaching career as a volunteer coach at State College High School from 2005 through 2009. Congratulations, Jim Williams, for a great career in all levels of football coaching, and welcome to the Center County Sports Hall of Fame. Calvin Cal Emery was born June 28, 1937 in Center Hall, Pennsylvania. He starred for Center Hall High School in soccer, basketball, and baseball from 1953 through 1955. He was selected All-League in all 3 sports. The basketball team won the District 6 and Western Regional titles but lost in the state finals. Cal then attended Penn State University and was a mainstay of the team and pitching staff during his 2 seasons with the squad. From 1957 through 58, he won 18 games and helped lead the Nittany Lions to the 1957 College World Series. Cal and fellow ace Ed Drapshow recorded all 22 Penn State victories in 1957 against the nation's toughest teams in Omaha. He was simply sensational. In his first start, Cal tossed a 3-hitter against Texas before scattering 3 more hits against California, who eventually claimed the national championship. For his efforts at the series, Cal Emery was named the most valuable player in the College World Series. He won 8 more games the following year for Penn State, then signed a free agent contract with the Philadelphia Phillies in 1958. He embarked on a 14-year professional career, playing mostly in the minor leagues until 1972. Cal made the majors, playing 16 games with the Phillies in 1963. The rest of his career, he managed in the minor leagues for the Phillies and Cleveland Indians until 1985, winning a league championship for each organization. He was selected as the Carolina League Manager of the Year in 1975. Cal finished his career in the dugout in 1988 as the hitting coach for the Chicago White Sox, then spent his remaining years as a major league scout for the San Francisco Giants. Cal passed away November 28, 2010 in Tulsa, Oklahoma. He was 73. His wife, Mary, still lives in Tulsa and is unable to attend today, but she provided many of the images you see here. Thank you for the gift of your athleticism to Center County, Cal Emery. You can now take your rightful place in the Center County Sports Hall of Fame.
It was a long time ago, and needless to say, my dad had an idea of carrying high school sports when he worked for WHJB in Greensburg, Pennsylvania. He went to the general manager at the time, and I don't know his name, but he went to the general manager at the time and said, I have this idea. I think I can sell it. Well, the general manager said, that's a great idea. Let's go ahead and go for it. Who do you have in mind for doing the play-by-play? And my father said, I have no idea. And the general manager said, okay, you got a job. So he basically got started doing high school events by coming up with an idea and then being told that he was the new play-by-play announcer for high school sports in Greensburg, Pennsylvania. Without a doubt, there was nobody that loved Penn State like my father did. And when he would travel around and visit Penn State organizations or Penn State Nittany Lion clubs or anything like that, he loved the fact that he was able to interact with the Penn State fandom, the Nittany Nation, for lack of a better term. I think if there was anything that really made him happy was his ability to go out there and represent Penn State and be a Penn Stater. Even though he never graduated from Penn State, he was made an honorary alumni after he retired. But I think if there was anything that really pleased him the most, it was the fact that he had such a great relationship with Penn State fans all over the place, no matter where he went. And he never forgot a name. That was one thing that I did not get from my father. I'm very bad with names. My father never forgot a name. I think one of the people, or some of the people that my father would like to thank, are probably all the people that worked in the booth with him: Jim Tarman, John Grant, George Paterno, Mickey Bergstein, and I know I'm going to forget a couple of them, but I know he would like to thank them for their assistance in his job that he loves so much. And obviously my mother. My mother put up with a lot. He put up with a lot with my father. He traveled quite a bit to speak. My mother would always be in the car with him and sit up on the dais with him. I think my father would like to say thanks to Bunny, as she was known, for all of her hard work, keeping the family together while Dad was traveling and doing all the things that he did. One of the things about my father that a lot of people don't realize, he's a very humble man, was a very humble man. Never liked accolades, never liked the fact that the spotlight was on him, but it so often was. I think this honor is phenomenal, and he would agree with that, even off the record, for lack of a better term. There's no doubt in my mind that he is thrilled with this. I know my brother Jeff and I are absolutely thrilled with this. And my mother, looking down from above, is absolutely thrilled with this. It's a great honor, and there's no doubt in my mind that Fran is looking down with a big smile on his face with that big white head of his, enjoying the whole thing and being very honored with the whole thing.
Fran Fisher started broadcasting in 1949 and gathered 25 years of experience in local radio stations in Greensburg, Pittsburgh, and Lewistown, where he did broadcasting of high school and college sporting events and managed some of the stations. Fran started broadcasting Penn State football in 1966 at the same game when Joe Paterno made his coaching debut. Fran became play-by-play announcer in 1970. He remained until his first retirement, right after Penn State football won its first national championship, New Year's Day 1983. He then worked as the Assistant Athletic Director for Public Affairs and Development for several years. This experience allowed Fran to be involved with the inner workings of the football program. He also continued to host Penn State's TV Quarterbacks weekly television program during that period. Fran put all that knowledge to good use when he returned to the broadcast booth in 1994, again as the play-by-play announcer. Fran stayed behind the mic until he finally retired after the 1999 season for good. Fran was the voice of Penn State, and arguably the second best-known Penn State personality behind Joe Paterno. Fran broadcasted for Penn State football, basketball, wrestling, swimming, and gymnastics. After his retirement in 1999, Bud Tallman said, You hire somebody, but you don't replace Fran Fisher. That's like trying to replace Bob Prince of the Pirates. He's Jack Buck. He's Keith Jackson. He's one of those broadcasters who transcends the game. Fran's greatest joy in the booth came at the Sugar Bowl on New Year's Day in 1983, when Penn State defeated Georgia for its first national championship. If you heard it, you remember it.
3, 2, 1. Penn State's national champion! Penn State is a national champion!
Fran passed away in May of 2015, but most of us can still remember his play-by-play for many past Penn State football games. Fran may be gone, but he is fondly remembered. Thank you, Fran Fisher, for your years of excitement, broadcasting Penn State football, and so much more. You put us right there in Beaver Stadium. You put us next to the heart of the Lion. Now, take your place in the Center County Sports Hall of Fame.